All right, I'm gonna head in. So, welcome to the Building Blocks of Bass. My name is Bob DeBoo. Very glad you're here with me today. We're gonna talk about playing in 5 today. New topic. We've never done this on the Building Blocks of Bass before, and it's it's something that comes up. It doesn't happen a ton if you're playing, if you're swinging a lot. If you're some cities are different. Some cities are just want to swing right down the middle, not get into odd time signatures. And then, it comes up playing over standards too. If you're, different cities have different attitudes towards that. From what I've found living in New York, in Dallas-Fort Worth, and now in St. Louis, different cities are a little bit more down the middle. But we need to be able to play in 5 regardless. And it's, you could say, oh, we're just adding one beat, right? Well, as you probably know, that can really hang things up when we're trying to phrase and we're trying to create bass lines. We're not going to talk about soloing today. We're really going to try to talk about locking in bass lines, very good solid bass lines. So let's talk about it. If we're in 5, let's just deal with it from a rhythmic sense right from the get-go. Okay, so if we're in 5, let's just look at our quarter notes. There's clearly 5 quarter notes that we have here. Today we're going to talk about really locking in our tempo. So I'm going to use a metronome. So heads up to anybody that's anti-metronome, we're going to use the metronome. And personally, I like to use, as you probably know if you've been here before, I like to use less metronome, as in not giving me all 5 beats, because everything's about 5 today. We're not going to deal too much with any different harmonic information. It's going to be all about rhythm and really locking in. So you're hearing this click, and just get used to that because we're going to be using that, like I said. So when you hear it click, try to say 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, why am I just putting it on 1? It's to help me check in at the top of my measures so that everything in between that is coming from me and I'm not relying on the metronome. I'm just checking in at the top of each measure, and I want that to be as lined up as possible. There's going to be times where it's not lined up, where we get off rhythmically, and that's okay. But that's going to help to keep us a little bit more accountable. So we're pro metronome here, right at Open Studio. You still feel where this is? 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1. So let's try now getting quarter notes just on open D on your bass. Or if you're playing another instrument, just pick a note, but I'm playing a D. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. So just keep that going for a minute because we're going to stay at this tempo the whole day, the whole session. 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we want these to be as locked in as possible. So just check in at beat 1. 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Great. We're already starting to feel that, right? Okay. So I have another thing that I want to practice inside of this, just real quick. Let's get into expanding that. So we're going to play half the amount. We're going to play half notes. And as we expand that, it's going to turn into 2 measures. So we can't fit 5 half notes into 1 measure of 5, 4. It has to go across 2. So let's get our quarter notes back. 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, for today, I'm going to be using a lot of my left hand, just tapping on the bass, the side of the bass, to get my quarter notes or different subdivisions, which we're going to get into real quick. But catch, if you can, on your left hand or whatever, your free hand that's not playing the open D string, try to play quarter notes. 2, 3, 4, 5. 3, 4, 5. 1, 3, 5. 2, 1, 3, 5. 2, 4. 1. 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, but I wanted to feel that. Like, you don't always need to play beat 1 when you're in 5. You don't always need to play all these subdivisions that we're going to talk about either, but you want to have that really good solid foundation. You want to lock in the quarter notes, the half notes, and then specifically the eighth notes. Let's talk about this really quick. So we're in 5, right? That's the topic of the day. If you see each of these groups of 2 eighth notes, we have 5 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, right? So it makes sense. Now you see at the bracket that I have on top, this is a group of 5 eighth notes. So we're going to hit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But we want that to be really solid, and we're going to do these straight eighths, okay? So a lot of times playing modern 5, we're not swinging stuff as much. It's going to be more straight eighths, more, you know, just it's straight. It comes up a lot, okay? So let's find this really quick. This is, by the way, my metronome is on 20 beats per minute, which sounds mad slow, right? But not when you start adding in these other beats, right? It's just to keep us accountable. Where's beat 1? 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. Where are the eighth notes? 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 1 and 2 and 3. Let's try playing it. Open D string. 4, 5. Go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. I'm starting to lock in a little bit better. This is what I practice for real, like when I'm practicing 5. So if you get off with that beat, that big open beat, that's okay. We want to feel these as straight as possible. Okay. Let's talk about this now, okay? So in groups of 5, in 5/4, the most common 2 ways that it's going to be divided is in what's called 3/2. Okay, this is just like a clave over 5. It's a way to break this up. And basically, this first 3 beats and these 2 beats come together to be 5, right? So we have a dotted quarter note, which is worth 3 eighth notes, or you could call it a beat and a half. So what's 1.5 plus 1.5? I know you didn't come here for math. 1.5 plus 1.5 is 3, right? So that's 3 beats right there. And then the 2 beats over here. So that's how we're going to break this up with some of our first examples of our bass lines, okay? But I want to go back. Let's find our eighth notes on the open D string and then tap the clave rhythm. On your left hand, you can tap it with your foot. You can just say it if you want to. But I'm going to try to find those eighth notes so I really lock in my clave pattern or my rhythm, okay? 2, 3, 4, 5. Here's eighth notes. 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, and 3, 4, 5. 1, 4, 5. Or 1, 2, and 3, 4, 5. 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 1. Makes sense, right? Pretty simplistic. So here's a basic bass line that'll work with the 3/2 clave like that. And you can hear that either in the melody, you can hear which is the right one to play by what the drums are doing oftentimes, and then also what's in the melody. But we're the foundation, right? As bass players, we're kind of setting this down here too. If we decide it's 3/2 and it feels right as 3/2, it's gonna be 3/2, right? Because basic lines like this really work. Okay, and again, basic is not bad, right? We're a foundation, so we really want to have this together. So try this basic 3/2 bass line with me. We have the same rhythm. This is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 5. 1, 2 and 3, 4, 5. 1, 2 and 3, 4, 5. These notes are D, A, and C. Let's try it with our beat. 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, and 3, 4, 5. 4, 5. 1, 2, and 3, 4. So it sounds like take 5 of it, right? So this is the most basic thing you could do over, say, for right here, we're thinking about D, or D minor even. And that's fulfilling the role. You want this to be locked in. 4, 5, 1, 2, and 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, and 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, and 3. Great, so that's a good simplistic bass line, right? But we want that to be solid. That's why I keep my metronome on, especially just on beat 1. You notice that we get off. I get off every now and then, and I'm okay with that. I honestly am. That's part of using a metronome just like that slow. So let's look at how to embellish a bass line in the 3-2, the 3-2 clave. Okay, so now we're going to use some eighth notes into our bass line, but we're keeping them straight. Okay, we're keeping them straight for right now. So here is our beat again, just to keep us accountable. Let's try to count and clap this rhythm. This is 1 and, 2 and, 3 and, 4, 5 and. 1 and, 2 and, 4, 5 and. So let's see if we can count and clap that before we put it on the bass, because it needs to be solid first. 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 5 and 1 and 4, 5 and 1 and 4, 5 and 1 and 4. Is that feeling good? Good. Let's put it on the bass now, okay? With that same clarity. And if it fluctuates again off this beat a little bit, that's all right. We're striving for perfection. You know, we try for it. So here we go. 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and. 1, 1. Straight eighths, right? Great. Now, why is this a 3-2 bass line, right? Okay, so it's a little bit more embellished, but where the emphases are. The emphasis is 1, the and a 2, 4, 5. But we're including. So if you broke this down, it would be more like 1, 2, and 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, and 3, 4, 5, 1. Make sense? Good deal, good deal. Okay. So now I want to back up a little bit and talk about how to swing bass lines in 5/4. Now, if we're talking about swing, we have to have a conversation about the triplets, right? So here we go. We looked at quarter notes, we looked at half notes, we looked at eighth notes, straight eighth notes. Now we're looking at triplets, and we're going to start integrating some swing into our bass lines in 5. Super important. Okay, so here again, we see on the bottom the way all these eighth note triplets are grouped. We can see 5 different distinct groups of triplets. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, of course. The top brackets are different groups of 5 eighth note triplets. Okay? So we'll end up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1. But it won't be that simple to put that over our quarter note, right? So if we do something like this, let's take our tempo down, just like lower the temperature just a little bit to make sure we can get these triplets in here, okay? So I'm going to say, let's do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, try this with 3, 4, try it with me, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now here's our triplets. Triplet, 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 5, triplet, triplet, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now put the accents. Sorry, we tried with the accents in there too, but maybe we should just put this on the bass. Let's use our open D string, find those triplets together. So here's the count in. I'll give you 2 beats. How about 4, 5 triplet, 1, 2, do this with my left hand involved. But if we think about it, triplet, 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 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1. And it's honestly easier to use some of the Carnatic South Indian syllables for me. And so just saying those numbers is kind of weird, but I didn't want to get into that really today. So, but these triplets are super important, and we want to try to involve those in some of our 3-2 bass lines now, right? Okay, so if we think about how, actually let me bring this back. So if we're thinking about how to get these triplets involved, let's try tapping our 3-2 clave with the triplets going on. And it'll be something like this. It'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the clave is now moved over and it's going to hit right here on this triplet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it's still 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Except we've slowed it way down, right? Okay, so just wanted to get that involved there. It's another way you can practice this. Let's bring our metronome back in. And since we're not playing all triplets, this is going to be a little bit easier to do. But here's our bass line, and let's figure this out here. Okay, it's still 3-2 because we've got this happening, the and of 2, and then an emphasis on 4 and 5. So where's our chord? 2, 3, 4, 5. Sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Triplet, 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 triplet. That's our triplet bass, right? 2, 3, 4, 5. So our bass line here is going to be like this. 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, da 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 4 da 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 5 and da 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 4 5 1 2 4 5 1 2 Let's try it with me now, okay? Put it on the bass. 1 2 3 4 5. See, when I try to talk, I'm going to mess up, so I'm just going to play it. Now, I'm mentioning that this is swing, but this is also kind of like an Afro-Cuban type of vibe with these triplets in here. It should be worth saying, too. Let's try this bass line a few more times. 2, 3, 4, 5. 2. Cool. Hopefully that's feeling good. Remember, it's all about locking these rhythms in. We did our straight eighths. We did our basic bass line, which is important because we want that foundational aspect to be there. Get that solid first before you move on to changing it into adding in more eighth notes or adding in triplets. We really need that to be foundational. Let's talk about the next way that we're going to group this. And that's 2, 3, right? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. We're just flipping it around, right? So I think we talked about this a little bit. Let's play quarter notes in our right hand and try to tap this clave. So we're going to do quarter notes this time. Just on the open D string. 2, 3, 4, 5. And if you're not coordinated enough or whatever, it's totally fine. I'm not either. You can work on this though. It's a fun thing to do. Because we're playing drums basically, right? This is a percussion instrument. 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 2, 3, 4, and 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 2, 3, 4, and 5. 1. Okay? How's that feeling? So let's get into a basic bass line based off of that 2-3 pattern. Again, this is 1-2 quarter notes and 3 quarter notes divided into 2 beats, or into 2 rhythms, right? Dotted quarter notes. So here's our rhythm. Dong ding dong 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 dee dong 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 dee dong dong. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Try this with me. 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now, since this is on an 8th note over here, you've probably noticed that I was swinging it a little bit. Let's try to do it straight. My bad. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 1, 2, 3, and 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 4, and 5. Right? So you really want to get that, that division in your ears, under your fingers. So let's check out a straight 8th bass line. These are all just bass lines that I wrote to emphasize these different groupings, okay? And they're pretty much all over D minor, okay? So we're just talking about rhythms inside of one measure of bass lines, and we can get further into that a little bit later if we have time. Okay, so let's look at this rhythm. We have 1, 2. So here's our focus, right? On beats 1, 2, and 3, and then an and a over here, right? It's broken up a little bit differently. 1, 2, 3. This is where our dotted quarter note would be, right? So 1 and there's our next. So this is the 1, 2, 1 dotted quarter note, dotted quarter note. That's where the emphasis is, right? 2, 3, 4, 5. 3, 4, and 5, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 5, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1, 2, and 3. So try this with me. 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 5. 1, 4, 1, straight 8s. 4. Just a couple more times. Cool. Feeling good, right? So that's, this is just at one tempo. There is so much more that could go into playing in 5, playing faster, feeling it more open. But let's check out a swing or, utilizing our triplets inside of a 2-3, 5-4 clave, okay? So here, again, we have beats 1, 2, 1, 2, and then it's flipped over, right? There. So it's different to see with the triplets. So here and then there is where our emphasis would be. This is 1, 2, 1, 2, and 3, and. It's a little bit different with the triplets. So let's hear our metronome. 2, 3, 4, 5. Triplet, 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 triplet. 1, 2, and 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, and 3, 4. Triplet. 1, 2, and 3, 4. Triplet. 1, 2, and 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, and 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's try putting it on the bass, okay? 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Tricky for me. I'm doing a pull-off right here from the A. I was trying to remember how I did this when I wrote this bass line. But there's a pull-off from this A into beat 5 and then pluck that G again. That's how I'm playing this. 2, 3, 4, 5. Right there. So that's fun. That's some different ways that we can get inside of the 2-3 clave, right? Let's look at one more, and that is dividing the measure of 5 directly in half, basically. Okay? So this is more or less how this works, right? You could say it's 2.5 plus 2.5, which would equal 5. Again, we're talking about math, right? A lot of fun. That's why you came to YouTube, was to do basic math, right? But 2.5 plus 2.5 is 5, so that's going to give us our 5 beats, right? So here we go with this. This is 1, 2, and 3, 4, and then another. Well, sorry, this is 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5, and then back to 1, right? So it's a little confusing to break it down that way, but it sounds like this, and it feels very fluid once you get it under your hands. So let's just count and clap this together, okay? We'll find our quarter notes. 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's on the downbeats and then the off beats. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5. 2, 3, and 4, and 5. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5. Still straight eighths. You could swing it. If you're thinking those triplets. Let's do straight eighths. 2 and 3 and 4 and see, it feels different. Even though we're in 5, it doesn't matter. We need to figure out if we're staying right down the middle or if we're swinging it a little bit. And it doesn't have to be really like right down the middle with the triplets either. That is all in flux too, but that's maybe another conversation, right? Let's look at a basic bassline at the 2.5 plus 2.5 kind of division. I don't know another way to call that. What do y'all call this? I'm sure other people know about this. But here's a basic bassline inside of that same rhythm. So let's find our quarter notes. 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3 and those eighth notes to make sure it's really locked in. Right now we're doing it straight. Let's try swinging it. 2, 3, triple, triplet, triplet. You see how it feels different? Okay, so here we go. This is 2.5. Right here is our second division, first division, so we can see that these rhythms look the same. These are each 2.5 beats. So let's find our quarter note again. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, and 3, 4, 5. So 1, 2, and 3. Sorry, it's different. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Still straight eighth, right? Cool, excellent. I was just thinking, if anybody doubts that these are live, right? That was pretty clear cut that we are definitely live with my daughter moving the camera. But we love Stella so much, as y'all know if y'all are been watching for a while. So, okay, let's move into the swing territory of this. Okay, so we're getting back into triplets. You could call this like Afro-Cuban, just anything is more triplet based, right? So let's try to count and clap this rhythm first before we put it on the instrument. So where's our quarter note? 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1, 2, 3. 2, 3, and. So this is how we're breaking it up, right? So this is 1, 2, and then the 1 and the 2, right? Or 2.5, right? So let's try to put this on the bass line, or put it on the bass. 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, and triple it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Cool. Okay, so that's more based around the triplets, right? Okay, cool. So just a couple more things that I wanted to bring up, and then we'll head into the comments and talk about what we're working on, what we're practicing. And these are just example bass lines, so I encourage you to definitely take them a step further, make them your own, play some form. I would love to hear some if anybody comes up with some ideas that they want to share. But think about these different subdivisions, 3, 2, 2, 3, and then the 2.5 plus 2.5, right? And how you can make that feel really good, right? But focus first on that basic core rhythm, whatever the clave rhythm that you want to deal with. Think about whether you're going to practice some straight eighths or with triplets, and how that's really functioning. Work on it, So just a measure at a time is a good idea. But I did want to bring this up really quick too, and this is different ways to break up the core rhythm or clave or whatever you want to call it, right? So earlier previously, all we were dealing with was playing something like this, where it's one measure for one chord change, right? And then say, for instance, this could be the first 2 bars of Alone Together is what I was thinking here. So if we get our metronome back, 2, 3, 4, 5, it would be like this. 2, down, down. I'm sorry, I'm not playing that right out. I was playing the 2, 3. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. D minor to 4, 5. But it could be this. Right, to where the harmonic rhythm is moving faster or slower. It just depends on the context. But you want to think about how you're practicing that too. So do this over some tunes, see how it fits, and think about how the melody is going to fit over that too. Oftentimes that's out of our control, but we need to be able to think about squishing 2 measures of harmony, maybe into 1 measure sometimes, especially where we're 5. So if we did the same thing with the 2-3 clave, it would just look like this, right? We would have 1 measure of that 2-3 clave in D minor, E half diminished for the first 2 beats, and A7 would change on beat 3, right? But if we move that to the faster version, it would just be condensed into 1 measure. This is an important topic, right? That's an important thing to keep in mind here. So let's get our 2-3 clave. 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Play this with me. Just the roots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Right? Sorry, I definitely messed up the last part, but I was thinking about going on to the fast version here. So let's think about that. 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? So a different way to condense that into these single measures. The same thing would happen with 2.5, right? You'd move that over, and you'd end up with going from this first line to the second line to da, da, da. And condense it now that was, of course, me just playing around with some of the triplet, like feeling that it's a triplet kind of thing. They could be straight eighths, they could be triplets. It's important to be able to clearly define the difference when you're hearing what's happening in the context of the group, and a lot of times that comes from a drummer, right? So that's some ideas on how to practice playing in 5, and hopefully you found them useful. Remember, you've got your 3 core ones, but there are more. You could do 3 plus 2, 2 plus 3, 2.5 plus 2.5, but those are the core ones that you're going to find out there, okay? All right, so I'm going to head on over to the comments, see what y'all got to say, see if you're finding this interesting at all. Any comments, questions, suggestions, criticisms, jokes, whatever you got, I'm all for it. Hey, what's up, Chris? Good to see you again. I love 5/4 time. I arrange my favorite things and other standards in 5/4. Super fun. Yeah, absolutely. Same here, Chris. And I kind of got thrown into that in college. You know, when I started at the University of North Texas, all of a sudden somebody was like, okay, let's play stablemates. And I was like, cool, I kind of know that. Let's play stablemates. Let's play it in 5. I was like, dang, I don't even know that. Okay, yeah, let's try it. And you start figuring it out, you know, trial by error. At least that's my story of how I remember getting thrown into the 5/4 world, right? Kind of sink or swim, just like, you know, with a lot of this music, you end up just having to do it. Luckily, that was in a rehearsal or just a jam session as it was. But yeah, so some of my favorites, like stablemates, alone together. It just, you know, it can be almost anything, but it's really more dependent on the melody, isn't it? So yeah, but my favorite things. I want to hear that arrangement. If you have that recorded, send me a link. I'd love to check that out. But good to see you, Chris. All right, Anthony. Oh, hey, what's up, Wayne? I always get thrown off with your Anthony. I just know you as Wayne, but good to see you, man. Very cool. You make this complex rhythm stuff look like a breeze. Hey, you know, that's thank you. So it's yeah, it's just, you know, trying to find some different ways to reduce it down, make it things that we can practice. And again, always, you know, Wayne, take this away from the bass first. Count, clap it, really try to feel that rhythm. And as always, I know, you know, the metronome going here really slow. Again, we were just at 20 beats per minute the whole time. But you can do this with different time signatures too, which I think is really cool to experiment with. So if you want to turn this into 7, you could do the same thing. Just think about the different groupings, right? But using less metronome. That helps us to feel towards beat 1. And I think that's a really key concept that I've worked on kind of a lot, and I'm still working on it. Don't get me wrong. Like this stuff never ends, as we know. But really trying to hear towards 1 is the key. Cool. But good to see you. Thanks so much for being here. Hey, Jacob, what's up? Laugh out loud. I'm a piano player, but this is super helpful for visualizing stuff. That's great. Excellent. Glad you're here, Jacob. Every now and then we get some piano players sneaking in here trying to learn some bass, and they end up, you know, it's all just music, right? These are instruments. These are tools. So excellent. Yeah. So if you know those 3, and I mean, kudos to you coming as a piano player to, you know, if you hear what's happening in the bass, if the bass is doing stuff like this, you know how to interact and you know how to converse with what you're hearing, right? So I think this is good information for anybody in the rhythm section, and of course for any soloists too. So how you're phrasing, if you're thinking 3/2, 2/3, 2.5, you know, all of that, it kind of, you know, is incredibly important to realize, and before long you'll just hear it whenever you're hearing it, whenever you're hearing something in 5. And again, there's other variations like that too. Sometimes people will make it a long 5, 3/2 plus 2/3, and then there's the long open beat or a big 5, kind of like how we were practicing the half notes earlier on. If you were here, Jacob. Sorry, I'm just kind of rambling now, but yeah, it's or, you know, thinking about other topics, but yeah, so it's as crucial on any instrument, of course, and glad you're here. Glad you found something useful out of it. Thanks, Jacob. Peter Martin. Peter! What's up, Peter? This is dope. Awesome, man. Thanks so much for being here. Thanks for hanging. Gotta have you on. We gotta get the piano perspective on some 5/4, and I need some help. I need some guidance, man. So everybody, the great Peter Martin, Open Studio Network CEO and founder, and incredible badass piano player. So thanks for being here, Peter. Good to see you. Happy practicing, right? Dave Shepard, what's up? This is cool. I have my tempo metronome app set at 100 and 5/4, with all the clicks turned off except for 1. It also flashes on 1. Good visual help. Yeah, definitely. With Time Guru, we can do the same thing. where it's just I could put it on five clicks, and just have it beat on beat one. And then I like the random mute aspect. So you can really try to dial in and lock into that rhythm, which is super hard. But then when you get away from that, right, Dave? And I know you're right here with me on this. When you get away from that metronome, it's just we've got our internal time that much more locked in, right? Which is what it's all about playing in these odd time signatures. Even if it's not an odd time signature, if it's in 4/4, it's of course got to be locked in. But as you likely know as well, like when you practice these odd time signatures, it's kind of like practicing some like Harry harmony type of stuff. You go back to the more simple stuff, and it's like butter. You know what I mean? So you start practicing in 5 a bunch, practicing in 7, whatever it is. You go back to swinging in 4, and it's just like that much like, oh, I'm home kind of vibe. Maybe that's just me, but I think that's across the board. But good as always to see you, Dave. Thanks for being here today. Rick, hey buddy, how are you? Great stuff today. Lots of work for me. Excellent. So hopefully you find the example bass lines useful, and then of course the breakdown of what's happening in 5/4, just in these 3 different kind of concepts, really useful. But practice those eighth notes, those triplets, and of course the quarter notes, because that's our foundation. But yeah, great to see you, and thanks for practicing with me today. Leonardo, what's up, man? Absolutely great. Could you recommend some good 5/4 recordings? Yeah, for sure. So there's an Ari Honig album, which the name I am blanking on. You take out the CD, and there's a picture of a cymbal. Maybe I'll put that in the chat later here once I think about it. But the ubiquitous one, Leonardo, which maybe this is not what you're looking for, is of course Take 5. Dave Brubeck. But there is other things, other recordings. Another one, I think it's Seamus Blake, like way back on a Crisscross album that was really a big thing for me when I first heard it. And I think they were playing, was it Ladybird on that album? I'll check back in with you, Leonardo. I'm just blanking. I should have had some reference recordings ready. But yeah, there's a bunch out there. Let's see what we can find. Anybody else? Help us out in the live chat. What recordings come to your mind for good 5/4 recordings? And this is great. This is a great comment too, because playing along with the recordings is of course one of the best ways to get the feel right and to really understand what it is you're hearing. So great comment, Leonardo, and I'll check back in with you later today, okay? Busta, what's up, Busta Bass? Played Blue Ronda a la Turk, Brubeck's other oddball meter in 9/4 in college jazz band. That's another one that tries your timing as a bass player. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I did that one, must have been 2 years ago now, pre-COVID, right? Maybe we did it recently, but with my buddy Adam Manis, who pulled off Blue Ronda a la Turk just beautifully. But that's one you just have to stay on your toes with, right? So yeah, excellent. There's so much fun. I mean, there's so many different ways to divide time, right? But the key concept is to really make it feel as good as it is, feel as good as it could be in 4/4, right? Whether it's a 9, 7, 2300, whatever the number might be, it's all about making it feel right. So yeah, excellent. Good to see you, Busta Bass. Damien, thanks, Bob. Very nice tour through 5/4 rhythms. Excellent, great. Yeah, some good stuff to practice here, right? And hopefully it's some useful things. I encourage everybody too, if you're still hanging out, write your own bass lines, compose your own bass lines, just kind of sit with that and play around with them. Or take one of these bass lines, for instance, perhaps, and start to just slowly meld it into something else. Put a little variations here and there, hit that basic core rhythm, whatnot, and then start adding in and making it feel right. So yeah, good to see you, Damien. Dave Shepard, I think Helen Sung recorded Speak Low in 5/4. Ah, excellent. Helen Sung is amazing. I need to hear that immediately. So yeah, there's a lot of good, I mean, sometimes, and I think why I'm blanking on this too is that a lot of the great recordings that I hear that are in 5, likely I'm just, not even thinking about them in 5, because that's more the analyzation type of side of things, which we need to do as musicians, right? We need to kind of dissect what it is we're hearing to understand it and be able to replicate it or get the vibe of it right. But what my point is that a lot of times those really great recordings, we don't think about them in 5. You know, of course you can go to, there's Brad Meldau playing stuff live at the, live at the Village Vanguard. Some of those recordings you'll see stuff in 5 too. But yeah, that's something I need to check out ASAP, Dave. So excellent. Thanks for the comment. Peter Martin, actually this bottoms up approach is super helpful for pianists. Think and feel like a bassist. Hell yeah. Nice, Peter. Definitely. Yeah, so I mean, but this is, man, I wish I could just ask you directly, because I'm really obviously very genuinely curious. These kind of rhythms, like the division, like the 3-2 and the 2-3, we're not always playing those, right? Or pianists aren't always competent, because like vice versa, pianists coming in and checking out bass players doing stuff, I want to know where drummers are coming from, as well as from piano players where they're coming from, so I know how to interact and be right there on with everybody, of course. So these core rhythms, whatever, like the 3-2 or the 2-3 or the 2.5, those are things that pianists are thinking about with comping, right? But maybe dancing around those rhythms a little bit more. I don't know. It's not like anybody sticks to those rhythms like all of the time. But maybe from a bass player's point of view, it's a little bit more important for us to do that. What do you think? You know what I mean? Like to really keep that core rhythm under everything. Especially in, if it's a new song that you're doing, or, a different group that's maybe not been playing a bunch together or something like that. But I remember we did that thing with Steve Wilson for Steve's course on Open Studio. And what did we play? Was it Green Dolphin Street in did we do it in 5? Can't remember if we did it in 5 or in 7. And he just, man, kicked my butt on it. I need to go back and watch that again. But anyways, I'm rambling. Always great to see you, Peter Martin. Thanks for hopping in today. Really appreciate it. Yep, more dancing. We have the luxury of not having to hold everything down the time like y'all. Hey, yeah, that makes a lot of sense, for sure. Yeah. So you want to hear the bass, but of course, I know you want to hear the bass player laying it down and really staying locked in. So everybody, you still got some bass players hanging out. That's what it's about, right? Peter Martin is saying we got to hold the time down like y'all, like us. So bass players, don't neglect this. We have to practice like we're drummers, really get locked in with their groove, and this is great stuff too. If you've got the luxury, if you're vaccinated, go hit up your favorite drummer and get a session together. Just the two, just bass and drums, get together and play some rhythms, play some of these feels and make it feel right. You know what I mean? So, but we should strive for the same deep understanding of this type of rhythmic conception like bassists. I love that. I love that. Yeah. And same here. I was just saying we really need to have that basic rhythm in our ears and our, feel it correctly, and then we can start to fluctuate a bit too. But beautiful. Thank you, Peter. I really appreciate that. We should strive for the same deep understanding of this type rhythmic conception, just like bassists. Yeah. And I'm always kind of hearkening back to what are my drummer friends practicing. A lot of this kind of stuff that I've been working on here too comes from like actually studying some Indian drumming. I didn't want to get into that today, really, too much. But there's some really, really deep stuff on playing in odd time signatures that obviously comes from the Southern Indian Carnatic, system of rhythm. So anyways, that was totally off topic, but came to my mind. So, thanks, Peter. I really appreciate your input. Thanks for being here. Cool. All right. So we had a great time. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining me and practicing today. I hope you found something useful that you can help with playing in 5 and locking it in. Make sure everything's feeling good. The pitches are not as important as that rhythm, right? To get that rhythm right, count and clap things, really feel it, and happy practicing. So we'll see you guys next week. Thanks so much for joining me on the Building Blocks of Bass. Again, my name is Bob DeBoo. Peace. See you soon.